Hello. Hey Sydney, how's it going? I'm trying to actually do a little work in SolidWorks, and for some reason I cannot get that to show up on my screen. So this might not actually happen here. Uh, well, yeah, I don't know why this can't be brought up. Um, Let me play with these settings a little bit. I don't know why it's not coming up. Um, oy. I literally have this thing selected here. Let me. Whoop. Dismiss. What are you doing to me? All right. Why is this doing this to me? Let me try closing this and let me restart it. Maybe that will do something. Close out of that, close out of that, close out of that. Open. I mean, if nothing else, I can do it browser based, but I don't like using the browser one. I'm restarting this program though, so hopefully it will. What are you doing? Let me try this. I don't know, Sydney. We'll find out. Let me try something else here, if you bear with me. Do a display capture. Put you way down here below. Okay. Can everybody see the SolidWorks screen here now? And I forgot the piece that I'm going to be modeling in the other room. Bear with me one moment. Hello, Kazim. How's it going? Okay, so some of you may have heard me talking about it in some of my streams or stuff like that. I do 3D printing on the side. Most of what I do is stuff for old Dodge trucks, like the old early first gen Rams. I do pretty well with it. Uh, I'd like to, when I do 3D modeling here, I go ahead and make my own files. A lot of people get 3D printers, they download files off the internet and sell them. That's fine, but you can't really, if you're downloading somebody else's files and stuff like that, you're not going to make a lot of money off of it unless you've got like 20 printers and you're running a print farm, because you're selling stuff for super cheap because it's the same stuff everybody else sells. I prefer to make my own stuff. I'm the only one that has them, so I can charge what I need to for these. And like I said, the effort somebody puts into a print that they're selling for $5, I could sell for $35 to $50. What I'm considering doing um, is making some stuff for the Milwaukee Packout toolboxes. If you're not familiar with them, it's a modular toolbox system. They've got different like kits you can buy and put together. They're very popular, but I want to make some accessories for these toolboxes that I can potentially sell. Uh, it's a little bit of a challenge for me doing that because I need to come up with things that don't exist. Because there's a million people making stuff for these toolboxes, but I've got to come up with some of my own ideas here, um, which is what I'm going to do. I'm not actually going to be building any object that I'm building to sell tonight. What I'm looking to do is I have one of these pack out toolboxes, and I'm going to be doing a mock-up of this pack out toolbox that I can use as a template to build other models on. That's one of the nice things about programs like this, is like if you have a model, you can build other things off of it, which makes it easy. So I can make sure everything fits right on the computer before I ever even 3D print it. So I'm going to be doing a mock-up of one of these thin pack out, like they're like top boxes that open from the top. They've got different ways you can configure the inside of them, but I want to make different trays to specifically hold certain tools in here. So I'm going to make a mock-up of this. So when I get to these ideas and making the things I want to make, I can also come in here and say, hey, I've got this. I can build it around it. I don't have to remeasure everything. It'll be good to go. So with that, I'm going to get started with making the model. You can see right here coming into SolidWorks, and a lot of 3D programs are the same way, especially these parametric styles. You have like Inventor and other ones. You have the choice between doing a part, which is what I'm going to be doing here. You have assembly where you can take different parts, you can mock up assemblies, you can build off of them. Like when I have this thing done, I'll do an assembly where I'll bring in this thing and then I'll build my new models based off this other part. The cool thing about this is if you build one part based off another part, let's say you have something with like two holes where you bolt them together like flanges. If you go back to the original part, and let's say you have to make that bolt hole larger or move them farther apart, you make those adjustments, it will go back and fix the other part automatically, so you don't have to deal with that. Drawing is just that's what it is. It's like when you want the technical drawings where you can print them out, and it shows all your dimensions and all your different views of it, so you can send it off to like uh, like if you take it to a machine shop. A lot of machine shops, if you can work with the 3D file, if they have computerized CNCs, but some of them just do everything by hand. If it's simple enough, you can just take this 2D drawing and they can look at it and say, hey, I can build that. So we're going to start with making the part right now. This is it's not going to be completely accurate. I'm not going to model this thing down to spec, but what I am going to do is I'm going to make like a block with the opening where the tray is set in, and that's the area that I'm going to be modeling because that's the only part of it I need. I could do the whole box if I wanted. That's a lot of time and effort that would serve no purpose to me. So right now, we're just going to start with the generic box. So to start building, we need to build a sketch. And forgive me if anybody who knows SolidWorks is watching. I'm not an expert in this program. I know how to use it enough to make what I need to make, and that's all I need. So like I said, I'm gonna start with the sketch. And what you do is when you get the sketch, you pick like the different planes. These are like planes in 3D space. This is like level across the table, and these are your straight up and down in two different directions. Basically, so you have your X here, your Y, and then your Z axis up and down. This will make a little bit more sense as I do this, and you'll see. So I'm going to start here because I'm going to start with it flat plane here to the ground. All right, so now, once I've started this, my basic shape is going to be just a rectangle. The rectangle is going to kind of represent the toolbox, and then it's just going to be a big block, not exactly, like I said, I'm only worried about the hole that the trays sit in. So let me just start this. I'm not putting in a specific size yet. Um, you know, I'm going to go like this. And then we're going to do with things that are called constraints. So if you look up here where I'm working, let's see, where are the constraints again? Like I said, bear with me. So I can, okay, they call them relations in this program. So I can like select this point, and I want to select the origin because it's just going to lock it into place. Then if I hit coincidence, these 2 points are going to lay on the same spot, and they're always going to lay there. And I need to stop doing that because I'm rotating the view, and I don't mean to do that. So coming back to this, I don't mean to draw a circle either. You're going to look and notice we have 2 different line colors here. The black lines basically mean that these lines are fixed, that they cannot move. And you want, when you do your sketch, to make sure that all of these lines, as much as you can, are constrained. These blue ones means that they can move around. See how I can do that? And it's going to move everything else around, but these 2 lines are still focused in the same position. So now that I know that I have my rectangle, I want to put in dimensions for this. And all we're doing is like we're drawing, like if you were looking straight down at this box, we're just kind of drawing what we'd be looking at. So I'm going to take a quick measurement. These ones do not have to be super critical, just as long as they're large enough to contain the trays. So we're just going to call this 20 across. And I got to go through Where are the dimensions? Like I said, forgive me if I'm trying to remember things as I go. I don't use this all the time. So right now this is set at 3.61 inches. Let me just double check and make sure because yeah, it's set in inches because I got to make sure because sometimes I'm working in metric and sometimes I'm working in standard. Depends on what I'm working on. Um, because a lot of times when I make parts for like an older American vehicle, I use inches because the hardware is set in inches. It's easier for me to do that. It just depends on. Okay, so now I'm looking at this. Now, right here, you can also see you can name these dimensions if you want, which is important. If you like, you can use those for setting other dimensions, and you can like have them have a relation by name. Like I said, if I needed to have like one dimension be exactly the same as another, I could enter the name of that dimension when I do another one. Or I could even use a formula, like I could say this dimension times 3 or this dimension plus 2. So not too important right now. But right now, like I said, I'm measuring, and I'm just going to say roughly, we'll just say roughly 20 inches across. It's a little larger than I need, but that's fine. Larger's better. So 20 inches. You can see that's, if I double click on that, it's 20 inches now. Another thing you'll notice when I do that, this line here now has turned black because this is fixed at 20 inches here. So there's no movement at. The only movement we have left is this line right here. You see, if I try to move this, it's not going to move because that 20 inches constrains it where I need it to be. So we're just going to set the other dimension real quick. And let's, for good measure, we're just going to call it 14 inches. This, like I said, this is another one that's not super critical. And we're going to go to vertical dimension. And we're going to make that 14. So now you can look at it. All the lines are black. If I take my cursor down here, you're going to see it says fully defined. That means all the geometry set. Nothing, it's not going to change and make an error on me. It's going to be good. So at this point, I am going to finish my sketch. Exit the sketch here. So we have this sketch. Hey, how do I just bear with me? I'm just trying to I'll go to this and we will view it from, we were at the top. We're going to go and view it from this angle right here. No, I don't want that angle. Ah, whatever this was, I need it turned off. Okay, so this is what I need. I want this here. I'm more used to be honest, I'm more used to a program called Inventor. I used to have access to that. I don't anymore. So but I have SolidWorks, so I'm going to use this. All right, so now what I need to do is take this sketch. The box itself, it's a pretty shallow box. Um, it's about, you know, maybe an inch and a half deep, but for the hell of it, I'm going to make this 2.5 deep just so I have extra room to work. Once again, like I said, it's not mission critical on this. So at this point, I can take this sketch, and I have different options here. So I think, like I said, bear with me here real quick. I'm trying to remember exactly all the commands in here as I go. No, that's not what I wanted. That just switched my view to the view I didn't want. Wait, I think I can move this over here. No, actually. Do. Tools. I apologize. Like I said, I have to. If I haven't used this program in months, and then I gotta come back and relearn stuff myself. So it should be in Tools. Modify. Okay, let me select this sketch first. Then Tools. Modify. Eh. Sketch entity. Sketch tools. We're not working with a sketch here. I mean, we are working the sketch, but we're not modifying the sketch at this point. Configure feature. No, that's not it. Is it insert? Oh, okay. Insert. This is what we want here. So we're going to do insert. This is going to be an extrude. Okay, so now we have this. And basically, it's going to automatically select that for us if that's what we've been. But sometimes you need to reselect what you're going to do. We're going to go from a sketch plane right here. We are going to, let's just go 2 inches. That's going to be plenty enough. We're going to 2 inches, and you're going to see when I do that, it's going to kind of give me a little bit of preview of what that's going to look like here. Isometric, trimetric, dimetric. Okay, but yeah, so that's where we're gonna make this a 2-inch thick piece. We're gonna select okay, so it's gonna be done. Just because this is a Milwaukee, I think we're just gonna edit this just so it's like the Milwaukee red. Texture. No, we don't want. That's not what we wanted. Why are you doing this to me? Where do you go? Hold on. I'll leave that there for the time being. All right, we need to select all of this, actually. Oh, I see where this went. We'll put it up here for the time being. All right, so let's select the whole thing, and now we can edit the appearance. We want this to be, this looks close to a Milwaukee red. And let's say okay. Apparently I'm not doing that right. You guys are along for the ride with me. We want to do the whole thing. Pick that red. Let me try this again. You know what? I'll worry about that later. So we're just going to worry about now making the actual box itself, or the opening in the box itself. So luckily for me, this is segmented into two halves. And I'll show you, that'll become clear later on why that's kind of an advantage here, because basically what's going to happen here is that I can take this and I can do like a mirror effect that will allow me to basically create one half of it and flip the rest over and just have it do that automatically, and it will match. So let's start another sketch. We're going to do it on this top face, and now what we're going to do is we're going to draw the area that we are going to remove. So I need to get my measuring tools here, and we're going to do this all in inches. Basically what I'm using right here is I'm using a digital caliper um, that I got off Amazon. Um, there are some expensive, good, fancy ones out there. Uh, they're worth their investment, but for depending on how much you're using, I use this quite often, but not all the time. I say if you're going to get into doing this type of stuff, spend around at least $50 or $60 on the digital calipers you plan on using. So I'm going to start off with my shape where I'm just going to draw the basic shape, and then I'm going to modify it from there. Now I can do this. I can do this in one shot and do a drawing, but like there's different ways to do it, and whichever works more comfortable. So like I said, I'm going to do just a basic rectangle for this section, and then I'm going to modify that after I'm done with it. Yeah, scam callers, yay! All right, so we're going to start again. We're going to do just a basic rectangle here. All right. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to add, since we're going to be mirroring this, I'm going to add a line. Like if I go here and I want this to be correctly in the center, so I can go through and add constraints to this later, but I can also go through right here and click this center point ahead of time just to. Why are the scam callers always calling after 5 here? So yeah, so now you see I have that line, and it's merely for reference. So I can go over here, line properties, and I'm just going to say for construction. That just means, hey, it's not part of the actual model, but it's there for me to do stuff to. So the first thing I'm going to do is this. I'm going to set the basic dimensions for this box right now. So let me get here. You can't really see me measuring, but that's what I'm doing here. So we're going to have. Okay, I have 7.703 inches. And for the tolerances I'm going to be using, that's going to be way close enough. I don't need like extreme tolerances, but like I said, that's a pretty good tolerance right there. But like I said, I'm just taking into account that maybe maybe I'm off a little bit by the way I'm holding it. Actually, if I hold it like this, I might be a little bit more accurate. Go back and make sure I'm at 0 again before I start. I always like to make sure I'm at 0 before I start measuring. You know what? That's about dead on, no matter how I do it. So we'll go back to the 7.703. Like I said, we don't need it to be super accurate because I'm also going to be building in, like when I do the inserts here, they're not. Right now, I'm just making a mock-up. I plan on making pieces for Milwaukee pack-out toolboxes, um, like custom pieces for me to sell. So right now, I'm doing a mock-up of the area in the toolbox where I want to set the trays I want to make. So like I said, this isn't going to be 100% accurate as far as the shape of the box, but for the shape of the trays, I need to get this fairly good so I can design trays later on that will plop right in here with, uh, they'll be pretty exact fitting. This is, like I said, this right here is just a mock-up. Okay, so now I need to measure the distance from this wall to this center line we were discussing. Yeah, I need to get out of that. Hold on. I get my dimension, horizontal dimension. We'll go from here to here. And since I'm using specific horizontal, okay, so what I need to do is I need to measure that. There's like two mirrored sections in this toolbox, and then there's like a smaller, narrower section in the middle. And right now I'm doing the two outer sides. And like I said, they mirror each other exactly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from the inside wall of each of these larger ones, and then I'm just going to divide that by 2 so I have the number from the center. Right now we have 2.3 about on the dot. So this one is going to be 2.3. I think I can just do divided by 2 right here. Yeah, see? So I can do math formulas in there when I'm doing the dimensions, which helps out a lot. So now we have that. One thing I'm going to do too is I'm going to create another construction line here because this is just going to, like, for my peace of mind, I'm going to create this line here and I'm going to do it center to center. Um, so this line, the first thing we want to do is we want to take this line and we want to make this horizontal. So now that's going to line the center of this with the center of this. They're always going to be in line no matter what. And then I also want to make that another line that's for construction. See? That's what these dashed lines mean. It means they're not part of the model. So now, no matter what I do to like these, you're going to see it's going to stay centered with the center of that line. So there's no room for me to accidentally move it and it not be centered now with that there. Um, I think in SolidWorks they call them relations. If you hear me calling it constraints, that's just because the way that they call them in like programs like SolidWorks or what's the other program? Uh, Geez, I can't remember it. It's their lighter version of Inventor that more people use. I'll remember Fusion 360. So now that I have that one, I need to, of course, set the other dimension for this box. So we're gonna look at it right here. So we'll measure that far. I got to make sure here. We are at 11.738 according to my calipers. Let's go back to do a vertical dimension. 11.738. Okay, there's the basic size for our tree. Now, a couple things I'm going to do here because I may not necessarily need these space, but these openings aren't exactly square. But I'm probably going to make my trays square to fit when I do make them. But also, in the interest of who knows, it might be handy. I'm going to add these little open areas from the outside. So let's start. We're going to have one at this corner. But you know what? First of all, I'm going to complete this. We're going to be done with this sketch. All right, so we'll go back to this view here. So we're going to go back to this boss. We're going to do a cut, extrude. Now we're going to it's automatically selecting that. We have to now configure the depth of that. So let me get the depth. Inside the tray, we have 1.182. Let's try over here, make sure I'm consistent. 1.182. We'll go with that. Like I said, it's going to be close enough when I build these that it'll be okay. So we're going to change that 1.182. Ta-da. All right. And that's going to be another reason I'm going to make these trays pretty much square when I make them, is because if you want to flip it and use it for the other side, it's not going to be a big deal. Like, one of the things I want to plan on doing is I actually want to make inserts for these Milwaukee toolboxes. I know Milwaukee has their own brand of tools. They're great, high quality, but I want to make trays in here to hold a lot of common tools from Harbor Freight. Um, you know, say what you want about them. Their hand tools are pretty good quality. They're not like super high end or everything, but like I work on like my own diesel pickups and everything like that. So like, and I use them. I've only ever broken one or two in my life, and whenever I do, you just walk into the store with it, and they'll have a new one for you like before you can even say anything. They're really good about it. At least my local one. All right, so let's add these little corner inserts here real quick. Uh, Now, pardon me, I've got to do some more. Oh, jeez. God damn these spam calls. We're going to go make another sketch here. We're going to use this top surface. So now we're ready for another sketch. And we're going to build. Okay, these two corners have different openings, but I think we're actually going to just use the same ones. One thing we're going to do here now. Uh, some people might think, using this, you might want to draw things exactly when you start, because I got to do like some custom drawing here for the shapes. You might want to, like, intuitively, you'd think you need to draw them in exact when you put those in, but the real thing is you don't. You want to come in here, and I'm going to come here. I'm just going to make a basic shape of what they are. So I'm going to do this, do this, do this, and then do this, because it's basically a shape like this around the corner. I think that they automatically constrain themselves to those. You don't have to do that. Like, I can come back here and remove these relations, but like I said, they're just kind of in there. You just get them kind of rough, and then you can modify it later. There's also a curve in here, and I could draw the curve in there if I wanted, but that's not how I'm going to do this, and you'll see how I do it when I'm done here. What we do need to do, though, is we need to, once again, set some relations here. So we're going to, first off, we're going to start horizontal dimension here to here. What do we have? So we drew it at 0.7, but it's obviously not that. That's just what we kind of sketched in. I'm going to use my little tool here, do another measurement. 0.312. Like I said, there might be a little bit of error there depending on how I'm holding it, but it's going to close enough for practical purposes. I'm going to go with it. So 0.312. Now you're going to see that's going to be that far from there. And I just want to verify that these are the same dimension on either side. They look like it, but, it's always nice to verify. Actually, it looks like a little bigger from this side. All right, I need to, hold on. This thing gets a little stuck. It's an old tool. It's got, sometimes it's got a little epoxy in it and it doesn't move as freely. So I've got 0.367 here. So it doesn't look to be exactly the same. It's just a little bit of difference, but it is there. So once again, we're going to go here to horizontal dimension, vertical dimension. So that was 0.367. All right, so now we got that where we want it. That corner is where we want it now. So we're going to measure. I'm going to measure this way because of the curve. It's going to make it a little easier for me. I'm going to measure. I got to do two measurements here. We're going to do horizontal dimension from here to here. What do we have? Some of these are just going to be close enough for comfort. That is about dead on 2 inches there. And what do we have for this dimension? We're going to call this 2.25. Nice. Yes, that is my dog in the other room barking at my son. They're having a disagreement. Why are you... Okay, one last thing we're going to do here is we are going to pick this point and this line, and we're going to do a coincidence, so that point will be on that line. So with all those dimensions, all that is defined on the top here. Now we just got to define this part down here. And we're going to go back to this, not that view, this view. No? Here we go. So like I was showing earlier, anytime these lines are black, it means they're fully secured in place. There's no room for them to wobble or anything, because sometimes when you move stuff around, things will wobble and like it'll mess up your model. And that's why you want to get this fully defined. It's not yet. So we're going to go back, and while we're doing that, we're going to set this relation. And these are going to be coincident as well, so you can see that. So now I'm going to come here, and I'm going to measure this distance the way I did last time. Just the same thing. 3.376, but we're going to do the vertical dimensions. 3.376. This one should not, and we do need to define that. Why is that? You know, we're going to take out this line real quick. All right, let's recreate these lines just so I can make sure we're going to make that. I bet you me setting it to the other line kind of fixed it. So I'm going to do that afterwards here. So I'm going to set these dimensions first. So let's do this one. I'll remember 3.376. This one was 3.156. And once again, we are going to take this, select this, and give them a code. No, we don't want the whole line. We just want this point. So that's why I'm not getting the relation I need here. So we're going to make those coincident. There we go. Overdefined. What is overdefined about this? Diagnose. Where is the problem? Yeah, but why is that a problem? Okay. Does this still fit my parameters? Yeah, everything was okay. So let's kind of put this back. I like to put this to a 3/4 view when I do these edits. So now we're going to do a cut. We're going to cut. Oh, you know what? I need to edit the sketch again. Now we need to get out of this before I can edit the sketch. Uh-oh. Oh, wow. I feel stupid. So guess what? I accidentally deleted what I just did. That's fine. That's fine. We're all going to live. What is going on? Okay, so we're going to do 1.182. Yeah. Let me double check that that's what that was, but yeah. Yep. So let's go back to let's go into it's where am I saving my files? 3D files. We're just going to do create a new folder for pack out. And we're going to save this as thin box template. There we go. So now I can go back to it. And yes, I do have a Google Drive I like to save all my stuff on. It's nice because I can access it from my computer. If I have my other laptop that I can use for I use a lot for like lasering and stuff like that. So and I can even access from my phone on that. So that's why I like to use these drives. So let's go and recreate this sketch that we already made. But hey, and I'm gonna do this a little bit different this time too because I found a better way to do it. We'll put it that way. So we're going to draw this out here. Line. Okay, so let's go through and make sure that this line right here is going to be horizontal. Let's see, zero it out. Go back to these ones here. 2.354 and 2.129. And now we just got to do these dimensions again. Five. Whoops. That's what happens when you enter a decimal wrong. Point 305, not 3.05. Okay, so that's what we're looking at for this. So, is it really that much different? Okay. Let me measure that again. I just want to be sure. Let's go with 0.367. Okay, so now we're going to take this, at this point, no, we're going to take this point and this point, and we're going to do a coincidence. There we go. So now we have this little ear in place. We're going to finish that sketch. Let's go back into this view now. So now we're going to do another cut here. I hope I'm not boring y'all with my work here. I just thought I'd bring it on for anybody interested. We pick that section and it looks like it's we could either put the dimension in there, which is fine, but I prefer when I'm doing stuff like this, because if I change this box and make it deeper, but I leave this dimension the same, it'll only change that, and that corner I'll have to go back and change again. Another thing I can do is I can do there's blind, there's through all. That would be through the whole model. Up to next, can do that. I like to go up to surface because I want to make sure that always matches this surface here. See? Now that's always going to match, even if I change the dimensions. And I'm just going to real quick. For example, I can go to this. I can do this cut extrude right here. I can actually come back into this and change it after I've done it. I can do edit feature. Like I said, I could come back here if I said come back and said 1.25 and then click the checkbox. You're going to see that other piece, it cut the same distance, so it's always going to match that now. If I did just put in the dimension there, this little corner, it would have stayed up there and only this would have went down. So I'm going to undo what I just did because, reasons. But yeah, see, so they match. And I'm going to do this just because I want it to match. Now, there's this, we're going to do what's called a fillet command. And not the fillet. It's going to be a edit, insert. Yeah, the fillet. The chamfer. Okay, the chamfer is the angled one. So we're going to do. There's actually a little bit of a curve in here, which I'm going to add right now. So we are looking at. This is going to be rough guess. I don't have a real accurate way here to get this 100% accurate, but based off of what I see, it's about 0.722 on the radius there. So I'm going to go here. We're going to do 0.722. And we're going to go, okay. .722. Hit the checkbox. There we go. So see, now we have this little curve in here. Go like that and just show it off a little bit more. But we also have we have little radiuses on these two, and I'm just going to get that. I'm just going to kind of rough that in. So I'm going to say, I'm going to select these 4 edges. Hold the control key and I can click multiple. No, I don't want the face. I just want this edge. Ugh, come on. Well, let me rotate it like this. This might make things a little easier. Click that one and that one. There we go. So we are going to do a fillet on those two. And we're just going to do like I think 0.1 is probably about accurate looking at it. Yeah. Let's change that to 0.15. Edit feature, 0.15. Yeah, it looks more accurate right there. So we have that. Now we do have another one down in the other corner, but it's a little easier because this other one, the edges are all squared off. So let's go back. Let's go back to this top view. We're going to create another sketch. Like this is the thing. If you can visualize what you need, this doesn't get too difficult. Like I said, I'm basically drawing a lot of shapes. There are more advanced functions, but like when you want to start doing things like that are functional, this program is great for functional items where you have like certain dimensions like this. It's not as good for like organic style modeling. You'd want to use like Blender or something for that. But this works great. So we're going to create another one of these cutouts down in this corner. And we're gonna do it similar to what we did last time. I'm gonna come down here, draw the basic shape. Okay, so we're gonna just do a few little things here. We're gonna make sure that is vertical. And I think we have all the horizontal lines are horizontal, so we're good there. Let's stretch this a little bit just so we can visualize the way that. Oh, you know what? That one is actually in this one. That line is vertical. So here we go. We're gonna make that vertical. Now we're gonna move this whole thing down. Whoop. We need. Let's set this coincidence here, or this relation for them to be coincident. Just so we have these. Cool thing here too, like I said, you can always like all these relations. They let you define how all these pieces work together. So one great thing here is I can take this line and I can take this line and I can set these to be collinear. Means they're going to be in line with each other. That's kind of cool. Um, we're going to set this to be a 45-degree angle down here because it is. Where's the... Can this do angles here? Yeah. That's be 45. And now I can come here and I can measure exactly how far this is. Let me get that measurement. 0.507, we'll take it. That's not right. Oh yeah, that's right, because I just didn't do this other one. Let's get this one across here. We're going to measure this distance. .036. 036. Oh, you know what? That sometimes happens. You'll see funny stuff like that happen. Not a big deal because I can come back here like I need to. And all this is because right now that line is kind of longer than in the computer is longer than that actual distance. Now I measure it. It's 1.314. So we're gonna change this, and you're gonna see it's gonna go back to what we need it to be. See, that's too long, but if we go 1.314, you're gonna see that corner come back in. Um, that doesn't sound right either. So somewhere along the lines here, I have a number that isn't making sense, and I'm guessing. Oh, and here's what's happened because I need this to be distance from there to there, but that actually seems worse. Let me double check this distance again. Guys, my math isn't quite mathing at the moment. Give me a moment. Okay, hold on. Let's delete this dimension and place it here and see how that. 2.04. That seems more like what it's supposed to be. Okay, so now we just gotta do a couple more quick dimensions and we should be good on this. First dimension we're gonna do is this dimension. 3.637. All right, so this is going to be a vertical dimension. Once again, this is going to look goofy until I get the other dimension in place, because obviously it's not going to be like that. 3.355. I'm sorry, 30.335. Yellow. Okay, there we go. All right, so we're going to finish up that sketch because now this little corner is done. Let's go back to this isometric view here. And we're going to do like we did on the other one, where we're going to select this sketch, and we're going to do insert, cut, extrude. Okay, something's not right here. Let me go back into the sketch here. Edit sketch. It says it's fully defined. Let's go back. Maybe we have that clicked. Insert, cut, extrude. Okay, we're going to do up to surface. Select this surface. Okay, there we go. And look, we have. Now, in reality, on this lower edge, this part right here, there's another notch over here, which I'm going to add. It kind of hangs over. It's hollow underneath. But I'm not going to do anything with that. I just want stuff to drop in. I don't think it's worth doing that if it's space I'm not going to use. Like I said, if you look up the Milwaukee Packout Toolbox, you'll see it's not just this big cube like this. Like I said, I'm only worrying about these inner pieces. So we're going to go back in. We're going to add those fillets there. The other ones, these ones all here are pretty much straight. There's like a little tiny round. That's negligible. But we're going to go through and put those fillets in. And we had those at 0.15 inch, and those seem to be pretty close. So we're going to go with that there too. Now, go back to the top view. Let's put this little notch in right here. La 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 la. All right, we're going to do another sketch on here. then this one's going to be pretty damn easy because, I mean, to be honest, I could have done these together in the same sketch and did the same thing, but sometimes it's easier to break them up. It just depends on personal preferences. This one is just a little notch out of here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to get the dimension on this, line up how far it is, and then that one will be super easy. 0.902 I have for the width on that. So 0.902. We needed this dimension for how far apart that is. About 2.5 exactly, to be honest. Now, if this is about a 1/2 inch, I'm just going to do the collinear. Yeah, it's about exactly the same. So we're going to do that thing where we take this and this line, we're going to do collinear. So no matter what, if I change things on this, like the dimensions on the other one, these are always going to be in line with each other. Once again, I'm going to do that with this line. Those are going to be collinear as well. And we have this sketch done. Once again, I like to do this in a view like this. We're going to select this sketch. No, we're going to... Oh, when we click up to surface, so we're going to click this surface. Going to go to that surface. And there we go. That part is now in. Cool thing about this too, sometimes like for some reason you might not want to see something here. Like I could go through here, and let's say I didn't want to see a part I worked on. Whoop. Obviously, it's going to hide the whole thing, but depending on what features you add, you can take it out of visibility. All right. This is going to be a little bit of a fun part here because now we need to add a couple little things to this side here. Then after that, we need to take out from this side. So we're going to add these little bumps here that are in it. There's a couple of, I think they're probably just there to help hold stuff in space, probably. We are going to add a couple little bump outs that are in this case. So once again, creating another sketch. There are other ways to create parts than just doing this extrude up and down too. But right now, I don't really need to get into those for this model. They're probably the easiest ones to learn. Okay, so what we're going to add here is we are going to add these little bump outs. What we're going to do is we're going to make one. Okay, this is going to be vertical. Okay, so one other thing, and I'm just going to, there's different ways you can do this. This is the way I like to do it. I think it's easy enough. I want to make sure that's centered. I'm just going to go ahead and take this, make this line for construction, and we're also going to make it horizontal. So this horizontal goes from center point to center point. So these lines are going to match up either way. All right. And just for an example, I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about here. So like if I go like this, you're going to see these center point lines are always going to match up. Are these on center? Hold on. Yeah, they're on center. It's just playing tricks on my eyes for some reason. Okay. That's my alarm. That's my alarm to look at the auction sites here online. Just check my watch list out here real quick. There's a little local auction site that does online auctions I like to look at. Ew. Well, damn. I'll bid on a couple things. That usually happens at the end, though. I was still winning those. Honestly, a lot of it on here is just junk, but there's a couple things I do want to bid on. Like a lot with a couple of chainsaws on here. Let me up my bid. All right. Need to check in again in about another 45 minutes. Those still got a little while before they're ending. Okay, back to business. I know I got myself distracted. All right, that bump out comes out. Let's say 0.09. Horizontal dimension 0.09. Let's get this smaller dimension here. Point. And 0.515, close enough. 0.515. That other dimension. Just get you. You are 0.9. Sounds good. No, that's not right. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. I was thinking 0.09 is the other one. Like, it can't be the same. Okay, so this is the little bump out. And how far is it from that edge? Point 3413. Close enough. These aren't really going to be too much into. These aren't really going to be too much of a deal breaker. But I still want them as close as I can get them. I'm going to just double check, verify that. I might eventually have use for them, so I want them to be pretty close. Let's go 0.3457. That'll be close enough for my purposes. What are you doing? I don't know what it is doing at this moment in time. You know what? Let's, for the heck of it, make sure we get this in here collinear. Dow Chemical is not calling me. You are a scammer. Now let's see if. Do 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 do. Okay, that's what I needed. So that was 3.45. Okay, so we have that part done. A nifty thing we can do here with this, because there's a second one down here, and that is how much further down is that one? Let's just kind of. That is 4.018 down. So we are going to select those items. Now we are going to do. We can do a linear sketch pattern. So now that we have those, the axis we're going to pick is going to be, we're just going to pick this line as the axis. And let's do that at negative to offset it the other way. Okay, you know what? I got to switch direction. There we go. Now that's moving an exact copy of those as far as I say down here. So now, there we go. And if I ever change this one, it'll change this one too. All right. So, finish this sketch. Gonna go back to doing another little. Actually, we're not gonna. We're gonna do this type of extruder. We're gonna add it back in, and once again, we're going to go to surface right here. Ta-da! Now let's add in our fillets on this. Fillets. Why I say fillets? Is it a fish? We're gonna pick. Just the edges, not the whole face. We don't want the whole face. There we go. All right, now we have to do a little cutout down here. This is a weird little cutout too because it's kind of, well, you'll see. And it makes a weird little indent in here too that we have to take into account. This is actually going to be the most advanced part of this cavity here. For now, we're just going to save this real quick. All right. We got to do another sketch. I'm just figuring out how I want to tackle this one here because this is a little bit of a fun one for me to say it that way. Okay, we're going to draw out the basic shape here. All right. Does that? Okay. Now I'm purposely not making that one. This one actually does come in at an angle. It's a very slight angle, but it does come in at an angle. So first thing we are going to do is we are going to make this one vertical. We are going to put this. Sometimes it's easier to do this afterwards than just drawing it that way because just sometimes it's easier to have it off to the side. But we're going to move those there. Coincident. All right, so we're going to measure all the way from this other side here. Let me move this way so I don't hit my computer with my measuring tools. Okay, that was going to be 8.319 inches. So let's put that dimension in. 8.319. And this one is going to be a little less. That's going to be 8.05. Ah, 8.05. Oh, that's really close. Ignoring this, so we'll put in the dimension, the angle here. That's going to be 45 degrees. Yeah, that looks about right. So I think if we just get this dimension, 2.24. No, we wanted a vertical dimension. Then what is that distance? Just say 2.518. Something's not right about this. Let me measure this distance. 8.089. not that. Is it that extreme? Doesn't seem like it should be. 8.089. It's a little bit better. Let's go back to this. Let's change this. Maybe I had some slop in there, not at the right angle. 8.292. That's looking a little bit more realistic here. Let me try. All right, that's probably about it. That looks about right there, actually. So let me. It's not this part of the sketch that's of the model that's going to be a pain in the butt here. It's this little. There's a little chamfer inside there that kind of is going to make a little bit of an issue. So we'll put that chamfer in, but and I'll show you exactly why it becomes a thing here. It shouldn't be too big of an issue. It's just a little bit out of the norm. It's not going to be hard for me to do, but you'll see it when I do it. It'll be better explained. All right, so let's go back here and cut this part out. Cut, extrude this little thing to surface, up to surface. There we go. Oh, jeez. Edit. Okay, now it's popped out. So we're going to go through and let's. No, that's not what we wanted to do. We wanted to go over this way. And we're going to put those little fillets in here too. Features, fillet. Good. Oh, no, we did not want to do that. We selected way too much there. How did that happen? Let's do this again. Insert. I probably could have went in and edited that feature, but to me it's just easier to come through and there we go. Okay, so now we are going to do some chamfers here that are just in the box. So I'm going to start with chamfering these two edges, and then I'm going to work down here, and you'll see what the thing is, what the commotion is. There's a chance I might have to make this chamfer manually, but I'm hoping not. I want to what did I do for the I want it to come out to that, but yeah, that's not going to work. I'm going to have to I'm going to have to do these chamfers manually. It's not a big deal, but all right, I'm going to. So here's how we're going to have to play this game. I have to create a plane here. So what creating a plane is, it's you know how when I create a new sketch, how I like select off of this. Sometimes you need to create a sketch off of a surface that isn't there. So when you do that, you can just create a plane. So we're going to insert features. Is it in here? Surface. No. Like I said, if some people are watching this, don't go and pull your hair out because I'm trying to remember how to do this. So reference geometry, a plane. So when we do this, a plane is just another. We're going to select this face as a reference. So the plane's going to match this face. Reference 2, we're going to select, let's select, is that the tangent point? There we go. So why are we doing this here? You will see real quick. So we have this nice little plane. And I suppose I could have worked off of this plane. I think I'm actually going to do that. I think that's going to be the better option for me. I just kind of think that, let's delete that. If I don't need it, I don't want to clutter up my drawing. Yes. Okay. We're actually going to work off of this surface up here. And I wish I had the cube here. I can use this cube, but so we're going to look at it from this angle because we kind of want to see what we're doing here. All right, so we're going to do a new sketch off of this. And of course, it brings me back to that. Okay, so we're working on the sketch. And you're going to see now when I start to draw, all I really need for this is a simple triangle, and the rest is going to fall into place. But let me get this. You're going to see my drawing is going to be lined up based on that. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this line, because this is going to be a perfect right triangle either way. So there's going to be a lot of easy ways to. We want that to be horizontal. We want this to be vertical. And then these two lines are going to equal each other. So that's going to make a right triangle no matter what. We need all right, so I'm trying to remember how to do this here, but actually I think we can take this. Let's take this point and we're going to see if we can we select this point? Yes, we can. Okay, so it might not look like much now, but this is basically what I'm going to do. We're going to project that to the drawing here. So when I go and make those a coincident, it's going to line up on that plane, like right there. So if I drew an imaginary line from this to that plane, that's where that should be. we're going to do this one more time with this other point. We're going to go this point, and we're going to find the tangent point here, because that's going to be the furthest part out. Where's the tangent point? I believe right there. Because that, if we do coincident, huh? Ah, that's not the one I wanted to delete. I wanted to delete the equals. So maybe now I can do this coincident. Oh, I know why it can't do that. And so let me make those equal again. I was thinking of the wrong way here. So we're going to make those equal again. And it's not that. What is my issue now? Oh, it's that's going to mess me up. So I need to take that coincidence out. Now I can make those equal again. No, don't want that. I want this. And we want this line. We're going to make those equal again. Ta-da! There we go. Now we want. Let's look at the top view for just a second here. Yeah, that's the tangent point right there. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay. We got that. Now select this line. You know what? I know how to do this. We are going to make another line here. That's going to go. Okay, so this is going to be vertical. It's going to be for construction. And then we are going to pick this point and that tangent line. And now they can be coincident. Now, here we go to what we're going to do. Is let's see, we're good with that. We are done with this sketch. So we are going to take that and we are going to, no, you're not paying attention to me, computer. I guess that could use save to PC. Sure, why not? That'll work. Okay, so Can I select that face from this side, or am I going to have to do it from here? Okay, there, we got that feature in here. Let's go back to our other view. You can see this is a little bit of a weird thing they got in there, but that's just how it goes. And it has this same chamfer on this edge over here. So we're going to do this much in the same way that we are going to have an extrusion come out to here. So let's do one more quick sketch, and we'll be actually done with this pocket once I have this sketch done. Okay, let's get to drawing another little triangle. Okay, once again, we're going to go through these lines. That one's going to be vertical. This one's going to be a horizontal. And we're going to try to make these equal. We are going to anchor that point to here. Coincident. And this point to this point are going to be a coincident. Then we can finish this sketch. To point. There we go. So we have that chamfer in there too. And there any type of little blend we can do here. Just we're going to pick that edge. We are just going to do this isn't critical here, but this is just something I'm doing for there. That works just for visual appeal. And we'll call that part good. Okay, so you can see right here, we have this whole list of things that make up this part. So we're going to go back. And we are going to add, I'm going to add another plane that's kind of center to center on this just for reference. So let's go back up here. We're going to insert reference geometry plane. Be that midpoint, that midpoint, that midpoint. Let's see if we can. There we go. We're going to move this. Yeah, it's fine where it's at, honestly. But now remember when I said you can hide stuff so you can't see it? This is one of these things where it's like, okay, I'm going to hide it so I can't see it. But I'm going to put this. Actually, I'm going to put this back down here where it was, just because it'll be easier that way. So I'm going to take all this. See all these? I'm going to take that out of there. So now we have all the features of this, and what we are going to do is we are going to mirror those. So we're going to do a mirror. And for the mirror, we are actually going to select the surface plane. I guess I can't do it in this. Let me actually make this visible again. So let's go right back to selecting all of these again. Mirror. We're going to select this plane, and it's going to show us where it's going to go. Then we click OK. Now, the great thing about this is, let's say for some reason, and we're going to use this as an example. If I change that, not only will it change that, it will change the mirrored one. So if I go, if I do edit feature, and it's 0.722, let's say I just make that 2 for that example. You're going to see on the other side, it changed it as well. But we don't want that, so we're just going to undo that. And we're going to do save again. So now we have like the basic setup for these two sections for this mock-up. And like I said, when I want this way, it'll give me the opportunity to, it's really, part of me tells myself it's unnecessary to do it, but on the other hand, if I want to have things that are directional, I can build from either side. So I think that's a good way to do this. But the last thing we're going to do is we're going to go through and add in this center section. So we're going to I'm going to hide that work plan because we don't need to see that right now. Actually, we'll leave that for the time being because we'll figure it out. We'll leave it. If we want to use it, we can use it. So I'm going to create another sketch. So what we're going to do, I need to figure out there's a little section. I got to figure out the width of this wall here. So let me measure that. Okay. Looks like our wall is 0.087 width. So here's a tool we're going to do insert. We're going to do offsets here. 0.087. So we're going to take this. Let's go back to that command. Why is it? Oh, I know. I'm doing this the hardest way possible. Don't mind me. No, we just want the lines. Oh, low battery in my headset. Did we get all those too? Cool. All right. Let's go back up to the top view. All right, now that I got those in. All right. Yeah, I hear you. Low battery. Let's see. I could plug this in. Give me a moment. Okay, we got that. Now we're going to do another. We're going to finish that sketch. We're going to do another cut. Okay, so we have the center section in there. Yeah, we can hide that mirror plane. No, let's leave it for 1 second because we're going to do, once again, this has got another one of those weird chamfers in here, just kind of the opposite of the other one. And we are going to model that. All right, so let's start our last sketch on this template here. We're going to do it on here. We're going to go back to this view so we can see it. We need to create another triangle. We all know how to draw triangles. So once again, that's vertical. That's horizontal. And these are equal. So this point, remember we're projecting, is going to be coincidence with this point right here. Now this other one, it's got to come out as far as that same tangent we did for that other one. So we're going to select that. Then we're going to have to come out and select the tangent on this line, which is that point right there. Oh crap, we can't do a coincidence because we have to do the construction line to do that. I almost forgot. So let's add this line in here. This is going to be vertical and it's going to be for construction. So now we can take that point of that line to this tangent point and make those coincident and be good. And once again, we're going to, this will be the last thing we have to do on this box. Oh shoot, and I realized something too here that's going to mess me up. Is it going to be that big of a deal? Yes, it is. So we're going to have to come here and do something a little bit different. This coincident point has got to go. And we're just going to make this. This is going to create a couple gaps, but there's a way to fix that. The problem is because if I leave this like that, it's going to poke through this other side, which is going to be a problem. So we're going to make those coincident. Edit. Insert. Extrude. And let's switch this around so we can see where we're going. Up to surface. And that should be good. Oh, and it did it there too. Phooey. So we're going to undo that. Actually, we're going to modify this. Edit the feature. We're going to do up to surface, but we're going to change the surface. All right. Okay, so let's create a new sketch on this wall. Let's get back to our Hey. So let's get to drawing another triangle. We are going to set linear. Ah, that's why, because they were all selected. We're going to take this line and this line, make them collinear. And we're going to do the same thing for this line, and make them collinear. So let's take this sketch, and we are going to do another extrude. Do up to surface. We're going to do up to this surface right here. Oh no. Up to next. Yeah, that'll work. We are going to have a little bit of weird inconsistency here, if I can speak. I'm not too worried about that. To tell you the truth, I could fill these in, but I'm not going to because it's really just for Yeah, maybe I should on these. It's just like these are just kind of parameters for my models if I build off of here. I really don't need to fill those in, to be honest. So we're going to actually just, what is this one? Okay, we don't need that one, but we are going to take these two and do a mirror again. Mirror on that plane, and okay. Did that do that on that other side? You gotta be kidding me. It didn't do it on that side. Why did it do it on that side? You know what? I'm not going to worry about it. It's not critical because I can still work with that. I mean, granted, if I were to do something with this model, like if I wanted to print it, I'd go fix it. But this is really just giving me parameters to build off of for when I make my parts that I actually want to make. This isn't the part that I want to make. Once again, this is a template. And I just need to know where I can build my boxes. We are going to hide this plane just because. Now let's see if I can go through, change the appearances of this again. My scene. I want this to be red. Appearance colors. Add appearance to part. I don't know why it doesn't. How do I edit? Okay, here we go. Huh. There we go. Somehow that fillet didn't get done, but all right. So now we have it in a Milwaukee-ish red. Ah, yeah, I know. Let's look at it in this view for now. All right. So what can we do now? Apply a scene. View settings. Make this a perspective. I do not want this plane in the view. Let's actually switch this to a different view so I don't see that little mistake and drive myself crazy. And we're just trying to make kind of a realistic view of this. Cartoon? No, I don't want a cartoon. Ugh. Well, let me. Wireframe. I guess that's not going to change anything, is it? Oh, here we go. I don't really like the rendering in this. Actually, my other programs had a pretty good rendering sensibility to them, but maybe I need to learn the rendering in here. That's the background, so that's not really going to. But yeah, you can see what it would theoretically look like here. We'll put the lines back in. So we're going to save this because this is exactly what I need to make my projects coming up. But yeah, that's just how I work on this stuff. Anyways, if you liked it, please subscribe. I'll see you again. Tell me, do you like to see content like this? Maybe I'll do more of it later on if you enjoyed it. I'll show you me actually making the things because I'm actually going to have to go through and get buy the tools I need to actually make this kit. But yeah, we should be looking good to go. Have a good one.